Welcome back. In this session of Cisco ICF, we're going to deploy vCSR in Amazon and integrate gateway IG in Azure. vCSR is a part of Cisco ICF, and integrate gateway is a part of Azure. But they do the same thing. They kind of do the routing for the VM inside the cloud. Before we jump into that, let's see where we are right now as far as environment is concerned. So we have done few sessions. I think there are 4 sessions before. In that we deployed all those infrastructure component, which are the yellow boxes. Then we bring up the link ICX and ICS, both for Amazon and Azure. Then we deployed a VM in Amazon, and then we deployed a VM in Azure also. Within the process, after deploying the VM, we moved one of the VM from cloud to the data center, which is the web VM. You can see that maroon box on the data center. That was in the Amazon, and we moved it across. And I think we covered 2 sessions back. So this is the status of Amazon and your data center right now, as far as ICF is concerned. Now let's see the Azure. Azure is exactly the same way. So we have one VM which is app VM in VLAN 11, web VM in VLAN 10 in the cloud, and we have moved one web VM to the enterprise data center in our vCenter. So this is the status. So if we want to make both in one slide, so it should be something like that. And I'm more specific now to the IP addresses and VM name. So starting from Amazon, you can see that the naming convention we kept is app-aws-shjalal, and for the Azure it is app-azure-shjalal, and those are the IP addresses and the same VLAN. So there's 2 ICX right now. These are the VMs in the data center, and 2 ICS, one in Amazon and one in Azure, and those are the IP addresses. And our management VLAN is 17, that's 172.17.17.x. So this is the current setup, but there is a problem in the lab. The problem is there is no routing between VLAN 10 and 11. So you can't really ping the packets from web VM to the app or app to web. So it will not be a normal situation, I'm sure, in the production at your lab. So you'll probably have, but I just want to show that how the CSR works. The purpose of CSR for Amazon and IG for Azure is to do the routing inside the cloud. So what are you going to do? The process would be we would log into the console of those VMs which are inside the data center. Anyone would do. It doesn't matter which one is Amazon, Azure. And then from there we log into first Amazon, the web VM, which is 65, that 10.0.10.12. From there we'll try to ping the other one, 10.0.11.11, which will fail. And then we deploy the CSR. After deploying the CSR, the routing should work between the VLANs. So we'll check that. And later, after that, we'll do same thing for the Azure. The difference between CSR and Azure deployment is, integrate gateway deployment is CSR, you have to deploy the VM yourself, and Azure is already there. So you just have to configure the interfaces. Very basic configuration there. One of the things we do in Amazon also CSR, we add the default route. So after we provision that, we log into the CLI and try to add the interface back to the default route to the public side. So if any packet's not bound to your cloud, then it can go back to the data center and find its way out. Azure integrate, you can do that right now, so you have to pretty much add it into that IG interface one by one. I'm not sure how much practical it is, but that was the state right now. So let's go back. I think there's one more slide. Yeah, so that's the vCSR, and that'll be integrate gateway. And this is the steps, ping VMs within the cloud and know the ping time. So probably in your case, once you deploy, you can check that. You can ping the VMs one VLAN to the other and see the ping time, how much it takes, and then deploy the CSR and see the changes, how it works. How does it make difference? Now, to deploy CSR, you have to do a few things. Number one, you have to have access to the marketplace in Amazon. So you have to go into the marketplace and then accept the conditions and say that it'll be bring your own license. Then you deploy the CSR from PNSC. PNSC is the Prime Network Services Controller. Probably by now you know. That's the place we would have to use to deploy CSR and also the VSG. And then we'll configure the interfaces for routing. There's two VLANs, pretty straightforward configuration. And then after that, we'll do SSH into the CSR and add the default route. And thereafter, we'll ping. In our case, the first ping should fail, and the number 3 should work. For deploying integrated gateway in Amazon events, sorry, that's the typo. That's Azure. Even simpler. So pretty much you access the PNSC and configure the interfaces for routing. That's all. And after that, you should be able to ping the VMs. Okay. That's the slides. Let's go back and see what I have said so far. So this is the my ICFD. So if I go back to the Amazon right now, okay, so you can see in Amazon there is 2 VMs, as I mentioned on the slide, a web and app, and these are the IP addresses. So we have to kind of note down these IP addresses. 10.12 and 11.11. Okay, and these are up. The tunnel status is up, which is important. Sorry. And by selecting, you can do usual reboot power off, as I've shown these things before. Migrate VM to the premises. Next is Azure. Azure also have 2 VMs, one for app, one for web, and those are the IP addresses 11.10 and 10.13, and the tunnel status is up. Next, check the vCenter. vCenter has many VMs, but we are mainly interested about the VMs that was created by ICF, and we have imported back from the cloud. So inside the data center, we see there's 3 VM. One of them actually in my previous session, if you see, you'll see that I'm trying to move that back to the cloud where it came from, Amazon. So it's on the process. So it has shut down. It's doing its job, like it's copying the VMDK to the PNSC, converting into the MI, and then it'll move out to the Azure. Sorry, Amazon AWS. So that's what it's doing now. So we have 2, 58 and 63 in the data center that we moved back from, one from the Amazon, other from the Azure. So I kind of logged both the console here. So this is my vCenter, and that's, I hope it didn't time out. Yeah, it timed out. Okay, let's try to do both. So that's let's see this one, 63 from Azure. Once VMs are back here, it really doesn't matter how it was created. Okay, looks like yeah, okay, it's back. So this is 63. That came from Azure. Okay. So let's try to ping the IP address, which one is in the Amazon, the web one, that is 10.12. So that's the Amazon VM. Just to make sure that we're being the right one. So we just try to ping the 10.12, and let's try to do an RDP into that box. Yeah, I think I raised the RDP session already. So 10.12, that one. Okay, that's the Amazon Web VM. Those are the IP addresses from Amazon. Okay, let's try to ping the VM on the app, and it's gonna fail. So the IP address is 11.11. So yeah, that's expected. Yeah, if you have a interVLAN router, probably it'll go through, but the ping type will be longer because it's traveling from the cloud. So we can do the same thing for Azure at the same time, because the result would be same. For the Azure one, the IP address is 13. Okay. So, and the ping IP address of the app VM is 11.10. So let's go back and check that. Apologies for the delay in loading. As I mentioned before, that all the VMs in the lab is running on one Cisco C-Series rack server, and also there are other people there running on the same place for lab for testing, so it can be a bit slow. All right, so that's 10.13, which we have RDP, and also that's from there we 11.10. We try to ping. So the idea is to show that you can get in the cloud, but the interVLAN routing is not working. Now let's make it work in the cloud, just in the cloud, not outside. Okay. Now the way we do that, we have to launch the PNSC, as I mentioned before. So the way you can launch the PNSC straight from the IP address, or you can go to the infrastructure. You can launch the click the button for launch PNSC. So I already kind of launched the PNSC here. So let's log into PNSC. Username password is the same. Okay, while it is logging, let me show you also CVSM. So this is the CVSM .56. You can see the IP address. I think I showed in the previous session that you can see all the modules here. Module means in this case the ICX and ICS are kind of considered as a module. and it manages all the VMs in any link like Amazon, Azure. That's why from the Amazon VM you can communicate with the one in vCenter on the data center, or in the Azure cloud, or any other cloud you connect to. There's a single CVSM. Okay, now we are talking about web VM. So we have a port profile for web. So that's VLAN 10. And interface, there's two interfaces, there's two clouds, one for 5 and 7, one Amazon and Azure. So see the interfaces, the configuration. What's the configuration look like? Interface. Five and 7. I'm just showing everything about web. Just be consistent. The same thing will apply from any other app or DB, whatever VM you deploy. So you can see this is Amazon 1 AWS, and if you run the same command for, that's 7, that's for Azure. So this is also one way you can run all the commands. You can run on NXOS, most of the commands, not all, and MAC addresses. And if you have any troubleshooting, you can check the MAC addresses. It's long table, so so it can be very useful for network troubleshooting. So sorry, I forgot to give the case. So it's with 5, and that's the MAC address pool we gave manually during the deployment of ICX, and also 7. Okay. We can also check the Amazon. Right now we can complete that marketplace thing. So we have to go into the this is the first console after you log in. So go into AWS marketplace, search for Cisco or CSR. Okay, here it is. Bring your own license. Continue. So we already accepted it. Otherwise, it'll see the options for kind of accept the licenses. So you have to do this part, otherwise it'll get stuck in the kind of loading stage and it'll not proceed. And we deploy VSG and ICF from this panel. Select ICF Cloud. Okay, you can see that IG is already deployed, so you don't have to deploy the integrate gateway. That's integrate gateway from Azure, but it's not configured. We'll do it later after we complete the EOR. It's a wizard driven, so okay. Password. and we're going to instantiate in cloud, and we take this latest one, next, and it'll give us the option for the cloud, which is Amazon. Now we're going to add the interface in Azure. We just do this part, add the interface. So we have 2 VLANs and 1 management. So management one, and if you remember, we have to keep the IP addresses. So we have to select the right one. And VLAN 17. Sorry, I just paused the slide to check back the IP address, 70 and 71. And this is the main management one. This will be the gateway in the enterprise, so that's 172. Now we're going to add the interfaces for each VLAN. That'll be default gateway. So okay, we'll put the IP address 10.0.10.2, and the one if you have the enterprise gateway for this VLAN, then you would put it here. So if any packets not within that cloud, it will send back to the private side for routing. Sorry. In our case, it's not present. It's just kind of fake one, but for a deployment, so you have to use this one as enterprise gateway. And do the next one as it one. Okay, done. So that's our CSR deployment. Now we're going to test it out. After this, it's going to take some time to deploy, and you'll see that it'll be running, and you'll see the VM also in the cloud. PNS is doing this job now for us. Okay, so it's creating right now. That's Amazon portal. Yeah, that one. AWS SHLL CSR1. It's initializing right now. So once it is up and running, then I'll be back. It shouldn't take long. I'll just put your recording into pause and then come back once it is done. Okay, it is done. And if you go back to the PNSC, we should see that it's running. So let's go back to the VM we are working, and the Azure web is 10.12. So we should be able to ping the app VM right now, which is on the other VLAN. And let's check the IP address. Is so 11.11 on VLAN 11.11. Okay. So that's in VLAN 10. Yeah. So we can ping the app VM right now. So we can probably RDP into that. In your case, this is the time probably you can compare the ping time, this one versus the one without CSR. Okay. Yeah. So the CSR is working now. We'll do one more thing. We'll log into the CSR and add the static route, default route, and check the inner routing. That's 71, right? 70, I think, yeah. So I won't be able to SH into the CSR. The reason is there's no default route right now. So I'm on the network accessible from 170 to 17 VLAN 17, but there's no default gateway on the CSR. So what I have to do, I have to get into your CVSM, and from there I can get into that, because my IP address here is not, I'm on the same IP range, same VLAN. This is my VM at my home. So yeah, so I'm logging into the your CVSM and then SSH 17.70. Okay, it's just saying that it's not okay because it's managed by your PNSE. Okay, so those are coming from routing background. You probably can run your commands and see. So you can see all the routes, .10 connected and .11, but there's no default route. So let's add the default route. Okay, that looks all right. Okay, now I should be able to ping from here and SSH. I'm sorry. Oops, not that one. It's late night. Yeah. So this is an advantage on CSR over IG. So let's do the IG quickly. I think we checked already that the VM in the Azure, you can get into the VLAN 11 from VLAN 10, and the IP address was 13. Okay, so similar actually task, only thing it has got few less steps to complete. It's already there for us. Edit network interfaces, and we add two interfaces, VLAN 10 and VLAN 11. Same process at CSR. Second interface for VLAN 11. Alright, so it's done. Okay, yeah. Sometimes I've seen this, if you see apply, it says can't create, but actually it has already started creating. So let's cancel it out and come back again. Okay. Yeah, the interface is there. Okay, now let's go back to that VM. Azure. Okay, so this is the IP config. This is the VM in Azure. 10.13. So let's check 10.13. That's one in the Azure 67. That's 67. This one. And we would like to go to the other one, which is on app 1 and 11.10. I think we tried ping before. So it's working, and we should be able to RDP. .10. So next one will be VSG, where I'll try to block one and allow the other one. The ICMP blocking, RDP allowed, something like that. So we can see that both are working in both your Azure and Amazon. So that's all regarding CSR and IG. Feel free to put your comments down, and the last one would be VSG, and after that probably if there's any feedback or any comments or anything you want to see, just let me know. I can probably organize one more. And thank you very much for watching.